everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sonographers in the Cities. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Giselle.
As always, thank you so much for tuning in. It is the second week of June, and we are continuing this episode with what?
Today, we're going to be talking about applying to a program. So many of you guys actually have been asking us a lot of questions about programs, advice on what you should do, different decisions you're going to have to make. And so today's episode is dedicated to what to do before you're applying and basically how to apply or where you should go, things you should do before you apply or do the ultrasound program. Now, this is a really loaded question. I'm sure Lynn's getting so many different questions. I'm getting so many different questions. And it all comes back to every program is different. We can't just give you guys one video that says, okay, this is what you do, because every program is different. But we will give you some advice on what you should do, little things that you can think about when you are applying to the programs. Someone asked for a starter kit, basically what should you do? Should you learn anatomy before you go in? Or should you do studying before you go in? Should you get books and blah, blah, blah? And honestly, you shouldn't really have to do anything, I feel like, before getting into a program. What do you think?
Are you talking about before applying or before attending the program? Because I've been asked two of those things, both? And then I get both. So
see how wide the topic is?
Because when you're preparing to apply to a program, it's the different things you have to think about. But then once you got in and then you have this time before you attend the program, now you're all eager to want to join and then or want to start, and it's you don't know what to do.
Okay.
Have you ever gotten that assignment?
Right.
And I got 2 questions and I'm like,
yeah,
it is different, but then it's also it is different, but then it's also 2 questions, different answers, but there's no one right answer.
I see what you're saying.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what did you mean in your question?
So for me asking you,
at the beginning,
because I guess if you're applying to a program, you do have to obviously do things. I guess what I was thinking was okay, for the people who already got into their program, they are asking for a starter kit. And in that question, it's I feel like you don't need to do much because you're just waiting to get into the program.
I totally agree.
But there's things you can do to help, right? And I guess this is for people who are applying. This is what we're talking about. We'll talk about prior to first. Completely no idea. I want to do ultrasound. What do I do? How do I apply? Where do I go? What So, and we'll start from there and then we'll do the other part, which I guess because so many people we talk to are already going to be in their program and they're asking me hey, what should I do to prepare for the ultrasound program? Because we said, it's different everywhere. For example, me, I had to apply to UNLV first. I had to get into UNLV after high school, do my prereqs, do all that. And then I had to apply to the ultrasound program, do that. And then so some people don't have to do that, right? CBD college, for example, you just apply to CBD college and you get into the ultrasound program. For another place like CSN over here, you have to do the prereqs and then you apply to the ultrasound program. So there's 2, I guess, the space between after getting in. So, for you though, I remember, I think it's because I was talking to you and you said when you were switching to ultrasound, you didn't really do much research, right? So
the only research I did was I was really focused on what's the job market after I'm done with the program. And then I worked backwards. What are they looking for in their candidates? And I still give out advice to people who message me. It's what advice do you have for me in choosing programs or how to pick which programs? And that is in the New York area I was looking at, they're looking for accredited programs, so looking for ARDMS credentials specifically. So that's why I went on to KHAB, and I looked for programs in my area that's KHAB accredited as well, so that I can sit for ARDMS.
There you
That's
go.
why I narrowed down where I want my
Mm-hmm.
programs to, which programs. And then through that, I narrowed to proximity or and accessibility
Mm-hmm.
and how where I stand on their prerequisites and requirements and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors to consider into which program do you pick
Right.
versus what to do, before the program, because they kind of like tie into each other, because
Mm-hmm.
the each program is different. And then once you pick a program, you prepare for what they need you to do for your application.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So essentially what we want you guys to know, and I guess come out from this episode, and like, I want you to be understanding that it's going to be different for everyone. There's going to be so many different tracks to become a sonographer, right? So many different things you have to figure out. And with Lynn's way of like viewing and researching like where she wants to work, that's like the perfect thing to do first. Because first of all, if you decide to go to school for this, you have to figure out what schools are near you, or are you going to be moving to go to another school? You know how like people travel, like let's say I'm like, oh, I want to go to school in Colorado, or I want to go to school in Florida because there's a school there that I want to go to, or I want to go to California because they have the best school out there. Like you have to decide where you want to go to school, first of all. Second of all, you have to decide what kind of ultrasound, though, because if you go echovascular, if you go general, like these certain programs will have the different tracks, which is general echovascular. So that in itself, you have to figure out, okay, do they offer that at that program or school? And then you have to figure out, are they accredited? Okay, are they accredited by CAAHEP, or KHEP is what we call it. And you have to figure out, okay, so now that they're KHEP accredited, I'm sure I can sit for ARDMS. Now, but if they're not, what do I do then? Are they ARRT? Like, how do I figure that out? And a lot of people go into this without thinking about any of that because, like, we're like, what do we do? How do you become an ultrasound technologist? Usually that's what people Google. They'll Google it, and usually it'll come up as ultrasound technician. And we've had this whole conversation about ultrasound technician versus technologist versus sonographer, all that good stuff. We will still forever and always get that question, but you have to decide which program you're going to want to go to. Because, first of all, there are many people who've been messaging me saying, hey, I'm confused because the program I'm going to, they need me to do a bachelor's in anything, and then I can apply to the ultrasound program. And then they tell me it's a certificate. Okay, well, that makes sense. If it's a certificate program, you have to have something before you get the certificate, right? Which is exactly what
Mhm.
you're
Yes.
doing, the certificate program. Now, if you don't have something already like a bachelor's or an associate's or whatever you need to get the certificate program, you're going to have to go to a bachelor's or an associate's program. So let's just say you have to narrow your search. That's what Lynn said. And you have to first decide which one you want to do, general, echo, vascular. That's what you should really do before applying to a program. Um, and so that's why I was a little bit confused, because I know that's what our topic is how to apply and what to do beforehand. But also someone asked for a starter kit. So I feel like that kind of goes for if you already got into the program and now you're waiting for your program to begin, what should you do in that time, you know?
Understood. I think so back to what you just said, Giselle, like how do you decide all these steps that you were saying
Mhm.
if you are confused? We did talk about this in a very, very early episodes. You can check it out, like how to choose which degree, how to choose accredited versus non-accredited, um,
Mhm.
which concentration to go to. We have tons of episodes and resources on that. So please check it out if you're a little bit confused about what Giselle just said, because that was a lot to take
Mhm.
in. And honestly, it is a lot to um, consider before, choosing your program. It is an important decision to make.
Yeah.
And I like to point out that if you are a prospective student who is in high school, it's vastly different than someone who is changing careers like myself and applying to ultrasound programs. So your two kind of like preparations to applying is a little bit different because with high school students, you're starting fresh. So you have all these opportunities
Hmm.
that you can go from now to get to applying to a ultrasound program,
Yeah.
versus someone who has been working, has gotten a degree, at least an associate's, or even if you haven't gotten a degree but you have professional experience, that still matters. That's still your experience that you can apply to when you apply to your ultrasound program. So for those students, you have to consider what you already have versus what the school requires you, and then you go from there,
Yeah.
because every school is different and everybody's situation is different. So it's not really such a black and white
Hmm.
answer for this one.
Yeah. And we really do enjoy that because honestly, for other things, it's like, okay, for let's say if you're going to nursing school, like you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, and then you become a nurse, right? For ultrasound, it's like you can do this and then do this, or you can do this or do this, you can do that, or that. Like there's so many different options to get there to become an ultrasound technologist. Like it's not just one track minded almost, you know? And so we do like when you guys message us and like ask us for help because that's what we're here for. So if you really do need help for your situation, message us. We also have a group, a Discord, and a Facebook group where we can help you with your specific situation because we can't tailor this one episode to just to fit everyone. It's not like one size fits all. It's you guys have to figure out where you want to work, where do you live, what kind of school do you want to go to. But at the end of the day, when you're applying, just know that what you should do is I'd say choose three schools, at least three schools. Weigh out your pros and cons, weigh out, which one is gonna be best for you as far as timeline goes, because a lot of them have wait lists and a lot of them cost a lot of money. So, depending on your accreditation for that school, so just like our old episodes where we talked about non accredited versus accredited, like we can't talk about all of that in one episode just because it's so much information. But while you're doing your research and picking your schools, like that's where you should be thinking about which program you're going to and what do they offer you and what are the steps for you to taking your board exams. So these are the websites you need. You need ardms.org, you need caahep.org, and there's also another website called like ultrasound schools info, something
Yes.
like that .com, I think.
Yes.
And those are great resources for you guys to help you figure out, okay, finding which programs you want to go to. And then you see what they require. Just like Lynn said, if you already have stuff from other associates or bachelors or experience, you can cross things off those lists and maybe that'll help you decide which school to go to. Now, if you are a completely new grad from high school, I would say talk to your counselors. A lot of times they don't know though, because ultrasound's kind of like interesting in the way and they might guide you a different way. I had someone tell me that they were told that they won't be able to become a sonographer without any medical background. And I was like, that's a weird thing to tell you because that's not right. Like, that wasn't a correct thing they should have said to you. But luckily, they reached out to me. So I was able to explain that. But if you do have like counselors who are knowledgeable in this kind of thing, like, and usually it's the health science counselors, right? If you're talking to the correct people, they should be able to help you figure it out, especially if you're coming from a high school who knows the universities around you. Because I mean, I live in Vegas, right? So I can only speak upon Vegas and my experience. I was able to talk to my counselors and they would help me figure out, okay, this is what you need to get into the ultrasound program. You need this class, this class, this class. They gave me like a list and I needed to cross off every class, pass every class, get the GPA, and then apply to the program. And that was pretty simple for me, I think. I was just like, oh, okay, here's the classes. I need these, need to pass them, and then I can apply to the program. So that's how simple it was for me in my program. I don't know how simple it was for you to apply to your program.
For me, it was quite simple because, I narrowed down a lot, and I made it as simple as it is for me to just, apply and submit my transcript because I already had a degree, and some of my credits were able to be transferred. So
Okay.
that is like very quick and smooth, just like how I wanted it to be. But in this area, I feel like if you want to become a sonographer, sonography is an allied health profession. So if you don't know that, please know that it is part of the allied health profession. And if there are no, diagnostic medical sonography programs in your area, at least get a degree in allied health, and then you can go on from there.
Mm, yeah,
Um,
that's good
because I,
advice.
I know that my university had allied health. There was no option for sonography from, when I was in high school or in the
Hmm.
university at all. So and this is like in Connecticut.
Hmm.
And when I was looking for programs, a lot of the programs are provided by hospitals, or I would say community colleges, not at university level, at least not yet. So for those, again, for those who are looking for programs, if there are no DMS programs around your area, at least um, go a step closer to sonography, which is allied health profession, and then that will get you to sonography.
All right, you guys, sorry. So this is going to be a weird split because my Wi-Fi went out, and so now, yeah, I'm catching up with what Lynn just said. And I agree with what Lynn said. So basically, what Lynn just said was that, like, if you don't have a sonography program or ability to have that in your area, at least go to an allied health degree and get that so that eventually if you want to go ultrasound you can go the certificate route or even go to another program and you'll have those prereqs that'll help you to apply to another ultrasound program. So really at the end of the day, when you choose to apply to your programs, all you have to do really is just figure out what school you're going to and then what do they require from you to get into that program.
Yes, perfectly well said. All right. So that was what we talked about for students who are applying for ultrasound programs. And now we can transition to students who have been accepted to a program and waiting to attend their program. So it's the period between acceptance to the to when the first day begins.
Mhm.
So, what do you think, Giselle, that for those students
Okay.
they can do to prepare themselves, or if
Yeah.
anything,
Right.
for the first day?
Okay, so this is what I was like essentially saying in the very, very beginning, where I was like, you don't really have to do anything, honestly. But
I agree
yeah,
with that.
yeah. So I mean, truly, do you if you really, really want to do something in between that period, like, yay, congrats, you got in, right? I've actually had that question a lot, like, what should I do in the meantime? And that's what I assumed from the starter kit. Like, what should you do? What should you prepare for? And really, you don't really know what they're going to teach you. And so I feel like just be prepared to learn, honestly. I didn't really prepare anything to get in when I got into my program, right? Because I did all my prereqs already. I applied to the program and then I was just waiting to get in. So essentially, what happens when you're in the program, you learn everything you need to know: anatomy, physiology, physics, ultrasound anatomy, which is completely different than regular anatomy. So if you really want to do something before and you really want to get a head start, I would read the Edelman physics book just for funsies. There you go. That's a good thing you can do. Like,
I don't recommend it because that's be so confusing.
you would have
I
no
would,
idea.
yeah, exactly.
But I'm going to give you an example though.
Mhm.
Jackie, our moderator from Discord, she read the ultrasound physics book before her program, and she understood physics, or obviously was like, she saw the book, she saw the words, she knew things, and she read it. And she knew a lot of physics things before anyone else did. And that gave her
That's
one up.
amazing.
Yeah. And she also passed her physics first try. Like, she really excelled by preparing. So I feel like if you are somebody who wants to like get a head start, that's a great head start already because
Yeah.
you already know you're getting into the program. So I saw it work for her. If you're someone who's really dedicated and really wants to do something, that wasn't me, by the way. I didn't do that.
Or or if you're really interested in physics.
Right. Or, you just want to kind of dabble and take a look. Those are the things I think you should do if you really want to figure it out. Because one, you're gonna need that Edelman ultrasound physics book. Two, you are gonna need to learn ultrasound anatomy, right? So maybe watch some YouTube videos, I'd say. Watch some YouTube videos on ultrasound. Uh, get to know, people who are also in the program, like on Instagram, social media. If you're not a social media person, just watch other sonography YouTube channels and see what they talk about. And I think that's one way you can prepare yourself. But other than that, I really didn't do much to prepare myself. What about you?
No, not much.
Wow, we give great advice here.
No, honestly, like I really value like mentality, like
Mhm.
just prepare yourself mentally. As Giselle was saying, how like prepare yourself by watching YouTubes or go on Instagram, go on TikTok, when there are others like us who are sharing their journeys or what they're learning in their classes, or sonographers who are scanning. Watch those. You don't understand anything, but they will click once you start learning. You're like, I remember watching that on Instagram or TikTok. And it's like, now I know what that means. And
Mhm.
even though you don't know, you will know eventually.
Yeah.
And when I say that I didn't do anything and I suggest you don't do anything before you start your program, is that you won't get a break in the program because it is so intense and
Mm.
rigorous and not easy. So spend that time for yourself, enjoy your break, do whatever you want for you, because once you start the program, it takes away your life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I believe it.
So that's why I really advocate for you to do things for yourself before you start the program.
Yeah.
But like Giselle said, if you want to learn, by all means, like that's
Yeah.
the points to you.
It's crazy because no, I get that question a lot, actually, surprisingly. People are very much so they want to be prepared. They want to know what to do, what they should look up. Should they read anatomy? Should they relearn anatomy? Right? Because this also is a period, if you're applying into the program, I'm assuming that you've already had some prerequisites done. There are a few programs where the prereqs are embedded in the ultrasound program, but a majority of the time they're not embedded in the ultrasound program. You already had your prereqs done, right? You already did the anatomy and physiology 1 and 2. You already did the bio 189, you did the chemistry, the physics 101 kind of deal. So if you're already trying to get into the program, I always tell people just enjoy the time that you have, just like Lynn said, because yeah, it's true. It'll be a lot. You're going to learn a lot, and you don't know what they're going to teach you. This is going to be a completely brand new language in the ultrasound program. Like, it's like if you were learning, I don't know, Spanish and you have no Spanish background, because this is going to be something way different. Ultrasound anatomy and looking at the spleen, the kidneys, the liver, gallbladder, and learning the pathology is going to be way different than what you learn in anatomy and physiology. Because in A&P 1 and 2, they're just teaching you how these systems work. They teach you how the body is functioning, and red blood cells and lymphocytes and mitochondria and things that you don't need to know in ultrasound. So, just kind of enjoy your time. And if you really want to, support us on Instagram, YouTube, and watch our videos and learn like that. Be prepared that way. But other than that, the mental part of it, that's a big thing because the program is very hard. We're not going to sugarcoat that. It is very hard. And you guys will be in for a ride, honestly. It's
A
fun.
roller coaster ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just thought of something. We said what Giselle said earlier this episode, like all the things you need to do to apply to the program. Why do more once you get accepted? You did
Mm-hmm.
all that hard work, got accepted. Now go celebrate and spend time for yourself, and then
Mm-hmm.
you do your
Yeah.
best in your
Yeah.
program.
Once day one hits, there you go. That's when you start studying, learning, and your life goes to just drinking coffee every day, spending your days in the libraries. I actually really do miss that. And that's probably why I'm doing my MBA, right? There's some people who really like school and like learning. And I think as a sonographer and a sonography student, if you like learning, like this is for you because you're going to be constantly learning, not just in the program, not just in clinical, but forever. Even after you become a sonographer, you will still keep on learning. And so you can't learn it all in that time or prepare for that. You really cannot prepare for that. Um, so yeah, this episode is really just to give you the truth behind it because as much as you want to prepare for it, it's going to be really difficult to prepare for it when especially if you have no clue, no background in anything. You wouldn't really know where to start or where to go or how to understand it. Just enjoy your time. Congratulations if you do get into the program. And also, good luck for those of you who are trying to figure out what program to go to because there's a lot. There's a lot of programs.
Yes. We wish you best of luck if you are applying to programs, and big congrats to those when you're listening to this episode that you've been accepted, because I'm sure you get messages to Giselle about it'll be like, I just got accepted in my program and I want to prepare. I have these months off, and I get really excited when I get those messages because, that excitement of being accepted is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just,
I think
yay.
yeah, I think
So,
about I think about that excitement period where it's like, oh my gosh. First, it's like your emotions are up and down, right? Because at first you're like, oh my gosh, I'm applying. Can I get in? Do I have the GPA? Do I have the points? Do I have the requirements to get in? And then it's like, oh my gosh, like that feeling. And then you get in and you're like, oh my gosh, yay. Like, I'm so happy. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Woo. Then you get in and you start your program and then you're like down again. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Oh, I have to study. How do I get this? Pathology. But then you go to clinicals and you're like, yeah, I'm doing clinicals. I'm learning. But then it gets hard. And so like you're sad again and it's hard and you're getting burnt out. Like it really is up and down roller coaster, but it's so much fun and it's just gonna really shape you in the future. And I really hope you guys enjoy it. It's really what you make of it. So stay positive through it all.
yes. And I like to say perseverance, and persevere through the hard times, because,
Hmm.
you have an end goal, you have the reason why you wanted to do this program, and you can achieve it.
Yeah, don't give up, especially if this is something you really want. And we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Good luck, everybody. This is what we're here for. We're loving it. We're living it. Lynn's still living it. She's in
Um,
clinical.
yes, I'm riding the ride. Right now, I'm
So
like this one.
yeah. It really is up and down,
Mhm.
just like life, but it'll be worth it at the end of the day. So,
Yes, and if you haven't had a chance, please rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and comment below if anything we said like stands out to you. If you have any questions, you can reach us at lolgeselle on Instagram. She also has Discord, Facebook that she mentioned before, and I am on Instagram as DMS Diaries. So if you have questions, let us know. We're here for you. This episode is for you. This podcast is for you. Thank you so much for tuning in.
yes, thank you guys, and we'll talk to you next week.
Hey, bye.
Bye.